Hello dear students. In today's lecture we are going to start our next e-learning class in the Science Standard 10th, and that will be the pH in acid base in salts chapter. So in today's chapter we are going to start a new topic in the acid base and salts chapter, because that is a very important topic in this chapter. So we are going to start that topic. But before going on that topic, let us take a brief preview on what we have learning in this chapter so far. Okay, so what we have learned in this chapter, that what is a acid, what is base. We have learned that the substance or the liquids, those who taste sour, it contains most probably the acid, and those who taste the bitter substance, theirs will be contained the base. Okay, so for that we have seen that if an acid is there, then it contains most probably the hydrogen ion and the hydronium ion in itself. And we have seen that when the base is made, then the hydroxide ion will be react with it itself. Okay, so that this is the way we have seen that how the acid is made and how the base is made. Afterwards we have seen the chemical properties regarding acid and base. So in which we have seen that what happens when the acid react with the metal. So we can easily say that if what happened if I put the acid, if I take the metal and if I put down the acid into that, so what happened there some type of reaction will be happen. So which type of reaction will be happen? And if you know that when I put the acid onto the metal, then it creates some kind of smoke there. Okay, have you seen any time if you have seen in the movies or if you have seen in the practical example, that whenever someone someone take down the acid onto the metal, then type of a reaction create, and what happens there, then generally some type of smoke was created. So that is the smoke that was created, it is called as the hydrogen gas, and it also corrode the metal. You have seen if afterwards whenever you put down the metal acid into the metal, then it creates the corroded metal there. So this corroded metal will be called as the salt. So these types of study we have seen in the chemical properties of acid whenever the acid react with the metals. So we have seen that. Afterwards we have seen the what happened when then acid react with base, it generally creates the salt and the water. For example, we have seen in the previous lecture, it is, and also this is the very important question, because sometimes that question will be asked that what is the neutralization reaction. It is the main question that we have to see. And in that neutralization reaction, which type of reaction takes a place? So for that you can say that in neutralization reactions process, there will be a double displacement reaction is taken a place. Okay. Afterwards we have seen the reaction of metal oxide with the acid. So for that we have seen that it makes salt and water also. We have seen the metal carbonate and acid reaction, it creates the three byproduct, that will be salt, carbon dioxide and water. Afterwards we have seen the bases reaction property, in which we have also seen the base react with acid, it also creates the same phenomena, that it creates the salt and water. Okay, these are the acids chemical property regarding that whenever I react with the water, what molecules or what ions it will generate. So I have given you that hydrochloric acid contains the hydrogen ion, and in NaOH it contains the basic hydroxide ion in itself. Okay, so these types of study we have already completed and we have finished. Okay, now we are gonna see about how strong are acid or base solution. So for that we are gonna study about the pH, in which we are gonna see about what is the pH. So in a acid or in a base. Okay, I am take down here. If HCl or if NaOH. So in both the cases, if you look closely, then you can clarify that one atom is present on both, and that atom will be known as the hydrogen atom. Okay, as you can see here. So if I measure this hydrogen's power in whatever the substance, it gives me whether I have taste or not that substance, but it still gives me some kind of power to the hydrogen, and this power of hydrogen will be known as the basic pH. Okay. So not acid or base pH. I am saying basic pH means not a base pH. I am saying only it gives us the pH value. So now this pH value defines some kind of power of the hydrogen. But what kind of reference I am using to predefine that which type of pH will be defined as the value which defined as this substance will be acid, or whatever the reference point I am taking. So some kind of reference point I have to take because I want to measure the pH value with some point. If I want to measure my height, then what should I do? Then I am go to the scale, that wherever the scale is present, and then I am go with that and I am referencing my point with it. So it can gives me my height, that will be 5'7" or 5'4", something like that. So I have compared with some reference point that is already present on the wherever the wall, or you can use the measure scale, whatever the thing you are using, but it is a reference point that I am comparing myself with. Okay. If you go to the bazaar, then you will buy 2 kilograms of mango. Then what happens? Then you buy the 2 kilograms of mango. Then the shopkeeper will create some kind of balancing phenomena. If you have seen that it takes out the some of the weight of the 2 kilo and it puts one side, and then they put the other 2 kilograms of mango on the other side. And then what happens? They both if they both balancing with each other, then we can say that it is a 2 kilograms of weight of the because we have compared with the 2 kilograms of weight that is already present with the shopkeeper. So if I want to measure this power of hydrogen with some of the elements that already predefined, that what is this value defines us, if it is defined as the acid or if it defines as the base. So this type of study will be known as the pH scale. Before going on this topic, we can understand this topic very easily. So I am gonna write down and draw here the pH scale so that you can understand very well easily. Okay, so you have to make pH scale, and we are drawing here the pH scale. So first of all, in your mind, the basic term comes that pH means power of hydrogen. Okay, now let us begin our pH scale. So for that I am drawing here the pH scale basic diagram. That will be, I am drawing like that. You can draw straight. Okay, it doesn't matter, you can draw linear or you can draw curvy linear. I am drawing here a curvy linear diagram of pH scale. These types of curvy linear diagram generally are very suitable in your examination, so that's why I am drawing here. Okay, so here are the values 0, 7 and 14. Okay, and now the pH scale. Okay, I am missing here the word pH scale. Okay, now if you have seen the diagram, then whenever the power of hydrogen's value come in between 0 to 7, it will define us as the substance or the liquid, whatever the thing you are checking it. Okay, and the value comes between 0 to 7, then it will be contains the acid. If the value come between 7 to 14, then we can say that whatever the substance or the liquid you are checking will be base. And if the value becomes perfect normal, not a 6.99, not a 6.8, not a 7.2, not a 7.1, but a perfect 7.0 value comes, then can we say that it is a neutral, or we can say that it is a salt. Now it is a 0 to 7 value that is defined as that it is a acid, and whenever the level of a pH becomes decreased, whenever the power of hydrogen's level become decreased, the substance or the liquid whichever you are checking it becomes a more acidic in its nature. Okay, for that you can see here acidic. It means whenever you are come from, suppose you have checked the two substance, in which you have checked the one substance will be one substance the value will be 6 and another substance value comes 4. So which substance is contained the more acid in it? So we can say that the 4 value, the pH values of 4, it contains the more acidic as compared to the 6. Okay. So in acid we have seen that which type of ion is generally present in acid. So we can say that there is a 2 types of ion present in the acidic, that will be, you know very well, first one is the H plus and second is the H3O plus. These types of ion will be contained in a acid. Now we are going for a base. So whenever the value becomes 7 to 40, the substance becomes basic in the nature. Substance become basic in nature. For example, we can say that also you know very well that basic value defines us that the rate of change becomes more basic when the value becomes more higher in the pH scale. So like not in acid, we are going to see about what happens in the basic. We are checking the two substance. For example, the one substance value becomes 12 and another substance value becomes 13. So which substance is more basic in the nature? So we can say that generally 13's values, whatever the substance I am taking and the value of 13 come, this substance has a more basic nature than compared to the 12's pH value substance. Okay. So this way we can say that the rate of change becomes more higher in the basic as compared to the acid. Okay, these types we have to go to the this line, and also we have known that how to make basic. So it contains OH minus ion. Okay. So this way you can, and here is the 7 value that defines us that it is a neutral. This way you can draw the pH scale diagram. Also you can write the diagrams information regarding that. In that you have to also learn about the two kinds of phenomena that will be pH and pOH. Okay. First one comes is pH. It will be known as the power of hydrogen, and generally pOH is defined as the power of hydroxide, and both the calculation will become in the pH. Okay. So I am giving you a 1 minute of time, 3 seconds of time, so that you can pause the screen blank, and afterwards you can draw the diagram from it. Okay. Okay. So hope that you have all you have draw the diagram regarding the pOH. Now we are going to see the diagram in the presentation. Okay, let us begin that. But first of all, I will once again I will revise you because this is a very important question. So pH generally defines as the power of hydrogen, and whatever the value that is come after we measuring the hydrogen's power in acid or base, that will we have to compare it with someone. So we have comparing it with the pH scale, and that will gives us that the substance or the liquid which we are checking, it will be a acid or it will be a base. Okay, gonna see a next topic. I am erasing that now. Okay, hope you have all taken the screenshot. I have dropped down my mic. Okay. Okay, here we are going to see that how strong are acid or base solution. So far we know that acid or base indicators can be used to distinguish between an acid and base. We have also learnt in the previous section about the dilution and decrease in the concentration of H plus and OH minus ions in the solution. We have seen whenever where we have react the acid or base with the water, generally what happens there, whatever the substance contained in the acid, it will get whatever the ion that contains within the acid, it gets released from itself, and whatever the ion that is present in the base, that will also get released from itself. So we have seen that in the hydrochloric acid that the hydrogen plus H plus ion gets released, and we have seen in the NaOH the OH minus means hydroxide ion gets released whenever I am reacting it with the water. So can we quantitatively find the amount of this ion present in a solution? Yes, we can find out the quantitative amount. Quantitative amount means we can measure the amount. Whatever the amount comes, that can be measured. It can be called as the quantitative amount. So yes, we can measure the amount of hydrogen or hydroxide ion present in that. Okay, we have a techniques for that. So don't worry, we can measure that. Can we judge how strong given acid or base is? Yes, it is also we can judge because we can measure it with the pH scale. So far the value, whatever the value comes, you can compare it with the pH scale and you can decide that it is a more acidic or it is a more basic. Okay. We can do this by making use of universal indicator, which is a mixture of a several indicator. The universal indicator shows the color at a different concentration of hydrogen ions in the solution. A scale for measuring hydrogen ion concentration solution called pH scale has been developed. So it is a basic definition or basic defined regarding the pH scale, that whenever a scale of measuring hydrogen ion concentration in a solution, that I already told you, if I measure the level of hydrogen in concentrating substance or in a concentrating liquid, that can gives us the pH value, and that will be we have to compare it with the pH scale. So this is the basic diagram I have already drawn you. This diagram I have drawn the curvy linear diagram for that. Now you can draw the linear diagram regarding that. Okay, so this is contain the H plus ion, this contains the hydroxide ion. Increase in the hydrogen level ion, that will gives the more acidic nature of the substance. Decreasing in the hydrogen ion, or we can say that increasing in the hydroxide ion, that gives us the more basic nature in the in the substance. Gonna see the next slide, that is very important. This is the information you have to write in the exam. Okay, so for that, this is the more basic information. The P is stand for the potence in the German, meaning the power, as I have already told you. On the pH scale, we can measure the pH form generally 0 to 14, or 0 is very acidic and 14 is very alkaline, means more basic. pH should be thought out simple as number of which indicates the acidic or basic nature of a solution. Higher the hydronium ion concentration, lower is the pH value. So we can say that the hydronium ion is less, then the value of pH is lower. Okay. The pH of a neutral solution is 7. Value less than 7 on the pH scale represent an acidic solution. This is all the information here are, you can see in the figure is already I have told you before we starting that topic. So this is the important point. We are going to see that topic in now. This is the pH paper that gives us the change of the color in the pH paper. Okay. So now for example, if I take the pH paper, I have put it into the some type of substance and the pH paper will change its color. So now the pH paper will change its color, that will gives us that some kind of color will be now come to the pH paper. Something, suppose the color comes like that, the yellow color will become. So now on the basis of color, how can I say that it is an acid or it is a base? So I have to take the color, then I have to compare it with this, and if a yellow color comes, then I can say that it is a acid, because acid has the value of 5 and 0 to 7 value comes is called as a acid. Suppose if I take a pH paper, put it in the substance and the color will become a blue. Okay, color becomes a blue. Then what can I say about that? If these types of color can become, then I can say that it is the basic and the pH value is for 12. So this is another method, and here are the 4 or 5 types of substance already measured from the basis of that and the pH value regarding that. Generally a gastric juice that will be present in the our digestive system. So gastric juice contains the pH value about the 1.2. Lemon juice, we can say that it produces the pH value of 2.2. Pure water or blood, the value will be 7.4. Milk of magnesia, the pH value will be 10, and sodium hydroxide's value will be 14. So you can see here that the sodium hydroxide is a very much base, and the higher base value regarding that. Okay. Now we are going to discuss about that, what are the importance of pH in our day-to-day life, in which we are going to see about the 2 topics. Okay, here I am erasing that, and it is also finished. So we are going to see about importance of pH. In which we are going to see about the 2 or 3 topics regarding that. pH in digestive system. This is the 2 topics that we are going to study about the importance of pH, and why this study is so much important in our life, because it contains the importance of pH in daily life. The topic is the study of that, why pH we have to study, because generally the pH value defines us the daily life routine in our system. Okay, in our surroundings also we can say that. So if I don't study the value of pH, or if I don't study the pH, then I cannot understand whatever the changes that will be happening in my body, whatever the changes that will be happening in my surroundings. Okay, and what was the purpose, what was the reason, and what are the consequences regarding that. I cannot study about that. So for that I need to study about the pH values in day-to-day life. Otherwise what happen, if I don't understand the pH, then I cannot decrease the consequences of that. Also I cannot push down the system that will be changing due to the pH. Okay. So for that I needed to study about the pH, in which we are going to see the most important two topics. There are three topics regarding that, but we are going to see the most two important topics. That will be pH in the digestive system. So what is the part that is come in the digestive system, that we have to study the pH for that. And what is the value of tooth decay and why tooth decay is happening in our mouth. So for that we are going to study about the pH. If I don't know the pH, then I cannot understand the tooth decay that will be happening in my body. If the pH I cannot understand, that the digestive system, whatever the changes it takes place in my digestive system, that can I not understand. So first we are going to see about the importance of pH in everyday life. Everyday life, whatever the changes we are studying, this will become. And so here comes the first topic, importance of pH in everyday life. Our body works within a pH range of 7 to 7.8. So this is the first question that will be very, very important, because sometime it will be asked in the examination. Body works within a pH with 7 to 7.8. So sometime in the MCQ that question will be asked, that on how much pH value our body works. In the MCQ the question answer will be given as A 7.8, second will be 8.2, 8.6 and 9. So in that MCQs or that objectives you can select the 7.8's value, okay, because our generally body works within that range. So if I don't know what is the pH, power of hydrogen, that this value will not occur in my mind, and this will also not give us the referencing idea that my body works within a basic nature. You can see that it works on a 7 to 7.8, that comes in the base. If I don't understand that, then whatever I study, that I can thought about that what happens when I drink down the acid into my body. Suppose that type of ideas will come into your mind. So you have to understand the pH, because if you don't understand that, then you will drink the acid, and then that caused the damage in your body. So for that purpose we need to understand the pH range of the body, that will be 7 to 7.8. Living organisms can survive only a narrow range of pH change. Living organisms like us, also that the living organism present in our atmosphere, in our geological area, also the living organism present in the aquatic water, so that will be called as the aquatic living organism. So you can see here that the point gives us that our living organisms can only survive a narrow range of change. So if the pH value becomes 7.4 to 7.6, slightly change. Narrow change means a slight change, 7.4 to 7.6 it becomes, then we can say that it will still survive. Okay, but afterwards what happens, if the drastic change will come in the animals or in the pH, then the animals or plants cannot survive with it. Okay, for example, here is the example also given. When the pH of rainwater is less than 5.6, what happens when the acid rain happen? So we have already understand in the 8th standard or 6th standard that the pH acid rain occurs when atmosphere's acidic air will contain or merge with the rain that will be drops down on a earth. It gets together and that will goes to the soil, okay, or to the water. It will create acidic rain. So now this acidic rain goes to the water or the aquatic or wherever the lake or river is present. So what happened there? Now already the animals are living there is living on a normal range of pH that will be more very sufficient to them to living themselves. Okay, but now what happens? Now we can say that a pH value comes a drop down because a drastic change of acid rain happens into the lake and the river. So it will cause the consequences there. Okay, now the pH value are there, and whenever the acid rain comes to the that lake or the river, it creates the more decreased level of acid or value of pH into that. When acid rain flows into the river, it lowers the pH of the river water, and the survival of aquatic life in such a rivers becomes very difficult because they are living in a normal range of pH. Now the drastic change happened there. Suddenly a drastic change happened because of the acid rain, okay, going on the river or the lake. That will cause the damage of the aquatic life or aquatic animals there. Okay. Going on a next topic that will be very much important, that pH in our digestive system. This is the important question, and this question will be asked in the 2 marks, or sometimes this question will be asked that explain the importance of pH in our daily life. So in which you have to explain the 3 topics: everyday life, digestive system, and the tooth decay. It is very interesting to note that our stomach produces hydrochloric acid. We are going to see about that in the 6th chapter, where we are going to study about our digestive system. In our digestive system, the pepsin enzyme or the pepsin gland in stomach, gastric glands generally present in the stomach, which creates the 2 enzymes, that will be pepsin and the mucus, in which the pepsin creates the hydrochloric acid. Generally it gets mixed with our food, that we are going to study in the 6th chapter. Whenever we are going to start about that, we are going to study there. Afterwards, it is simply defined that we can understand that the hydrochloric acid is present and hydrochloric acid get mixed with the food. So what happened there? It helps in the digestion of the food without harming the stomach because of the mucus present in there. Otherwise, what happened? The hydrochloric acid produces in the stomach will come outside the stomach. So for that also we need to understand that the harming of the stomach is not happened there because of the mucus protection. During the indigestion, the stomach produces too much acid, and this causes the pain and the irritation. Indigestion, suppose if the indigestion happen, then what it creates the pain or the irritation in our stomach. Have you ever heard that your stomach will create a pain? Okay, your mother or your father or your relatives suppose sometimes say that acidity will happen in my stomach. Okay, have you ever hear these types of word in your ear? Then you can say that these types of irritation or these types of pain is occur due to the change of pH in our digestive system. And to get rid of this pain, people use bases called the antacids, or we can say that if the acidity will happen in the stomach, then you have heard that someone say you that drink drink baking soda or drink milk of magnesia. Okay, so these types of word you hear in your day-to-day life. So what happen if I don't study the pH? Then I cannot understand whatever the changes that coming in my stomach. Okay, also we cannot understand whatever the changes and what are the consequences that creates the pain or that creates the irritation in my body. When I understand the pH, it means now I know the pH means the hydrogen's power is changing in my body, and it also gives us the indication that the acidic level of my stomach will increase. So now for that reason I have to neutralize this acid produced in my stomach, and for that I am going to study about then I can put the base into my stomach that can neutralize this acid, and that the important topic comes that pH, it is the important pH in our digestive system. One such a remedy must have been suggested by you at the beginning of this chapter, that will be antacid to neutralize the antacids means the base level. neutralize the excess of acid, and that will gives us the magnesium hydroxide. All it will be also called as the milk of magnesia. So we have to drink that, and it will decrease the level of acid in our body. pH change as the cause of tooth decay. Now suppose we don't understand what is the pH, then then we cannot understand the tooth decays representation in our pH. Tooth decay starts with the pH of mouth is lower than 5.5. So if my mouth's value becomes lower than my mouth's pH value becomes lower than 5.5, then what happened? Some kind of corrosion will happen in my teeth, and this enamel corrosion will gives us the generally caused the tooth decay in my mouth. Okay, because our mouth teeth is made up from the calcium hydroxyapatite, okay, or also a crystalline form of calcium phosphate. So it is also get corroded, because you know that whenever the metal react with the acid, it creates the corrosion, it creates the salt. So for that also it creates the salt, or it creates the corrosion in my mouth and also in my teeth. It does not dissolve in the water, but it is corroded when the pH in the mouth is below 5.5. So that's why your mommy or papa will tell you that you have to eat less sugar containing products. Okay, you have to eat less containing sorry taste substance into your body. You cannot eat or you cannot drink the higher, the more sorry taste or the more bitter taste value in your body. Okay, so in that purpose you can say that bacteria present in the mouth produce acid by degradation of sugar and food particle. Okay, the bacteria that are present in my mouth due to the degradation of food and the sugar, that creates the acid in my mouth, and this acid will get this acid caused the corrosion in my teeth, in my because the teeth is made from the calcium phosphate. Okay, the best way to prevent this is to clean the mouth after eating the food, okay, using the toothpaste, because toothpaste contains generally a base, it contains generally a basic soda. Okay, so for that purpose we are using and we are cleansing our teeth in day-to-day life. So for here you can write that the importance of pH in tooth decay. Okay, in next lecture we are going to start the study regarding the common salt, how the common salt is very much important to us, what are the byproducts from the common salt, and what are the uses and how to make them. This is the study we are going to start in the next lecture. Okay, so here we finish our lecture. Thank you very much for hearing this lecture. In today's homework you have to write in homework. In each and every lecture the students have asked me that what is the homework, what is homework. So I have now decided that in the ending of the lecture I am going to give you a homework that we have studied. Okay, question 1, you need to explain pH scale. Question 2, you need to explain importance of pH in digestive system. And question 3, why tooth decay occurs.